Hey everybody, in this video I'm going to share with you the top 5 reasons not to come to Ukraine, especially if you want to live here long term. I suppose this is more for people who are thinking of moving here, because I've been living here for a few years now, and I've generally got the idea that there are these certain types of people that shouldn't come here. Anyway, without further ado, let's get started. The number one type of person that shouldn't come here is those strict dietary preferences. Vegetarianism getting accepted. I think if you're a super strict vegan, I think it may be difficult. The main reason is that Ukraine, for the most part, is quite meat heavy when it comes to the cultural food and the national dishes and all that stuff. A lot of people eat things like pork, lamb, and chicken. The national dish is salo, and which is pork fat, and borscht, which is like a beet soup with lots of meat in it, and things like meat dumplings, all that kind of stuff. So in certain restaurants, you may also not be able to find some vegan dishes, but vegetarian dishes you're going to probably be okay. The thing is, if you have a lot of preferences with regards to gluten and non-gluten food, you may really find it difficult here, and it's not as accommodating as in the West. This also includes medical preferences, so if you have allergies or that kind of stuff, it may be difficult for you to get the actual allergen-friendly snacks or food or whatever you want to have. Same with restaurants, they may not actually be versed in these things, although I think it may get better eventually. The number 2 type of person that shouldn't come to Ukraine is the social justice warrior types. So if you have like a feeling of, I suppose, righteousness, or the belief that you should like probably spread your views around, and that may not work in Ukraine. Like for example, if you think that people should behave a certain way, or women or certain groups, like certain focus groups, should behave a certain way, or they're oppressed or whatnot, then you may find yourself in a minority. In many cases, I find the term barking up the wrong tree is quite fitting in this case. I think this part of the world really is kind of set in the ways that things work, and how, what people are considered to be right and wrong. And besides, Ukraine does have a lot of issues that are also quite overbearing, things like cultural differences, tradition, not to mention there's a war in Ukraine, there's lots of other social issues that need to be addressed as well. I do find that Ukraine does have a lot of these Americans that are religious types. I'm not sure if they're Jehovah's Witnesses or just general religious types that come in here, spread their views. But for the most part, I think they stick to themselves. And I think that someone who's going to openly deal with social justice issues and views could potentially get in trouble, but that's just my take on things. The number 3rd type of person that should probably not come to Ukraine is somebody who is needing regular medical attention. So I think if you have medical issues that you need constant monitoring and you need resources in a form of medicine or medical care regularly, I think Ukraine is not the place for you. Basically, if you are like diabetic, or you need to get some sort of pills regularly or take some sort of test, this could be a hassle for you, especially if you're not really prepared to shell out money constantly at this issue. You'll eventually end up having to find a good doctor or clinic to help you out. So I'm not talking about terminal illnesses, like cancer and that kind of stuff, but I would probably advise you to stay in your home country in that case. I think that Ukraine is reforming in the medical sphere, more or less, but the system is not always reliable, and I think that there are some glitches here and there, and nobody really knows how it's going to hold up over time. But I'm not sure if I would recommend anybody with a medical issue to stay here. The number 4 type of person who should not come to Ukraine is the kind of person who is used to certain conveniences of the West. I'm talking about things like, your favorite little chain restaurant or whatnot that may not be here. I mean, Ukraine is very convenient, don't get me wrong. We have these little kiosks all over the place, and you can also do lots of payments online. There's lots of deliveries, there's lots of online shopping going on, and you have quite a lot of goods and services that you can get. But Ukraine doesn't have a lot of things that we back home are used to, like Starbucks or Burger King. This is shocking, I know. Things like Subway or Pizza Hut or IKEA. I know it sounds crazy, but I still don't understand why they can't come in here. But I suppose one of the reasons why you shouldn't come here is if you really need your daily dose of your favorite sort of food or chain restaurant or whatnot. For example, I haven't had any nachos in a bar here because also if you're looking forward to your Thanksgiving dinners or Christmas lights and all that stuff, you may also find it a little bit disappointing here. So the number 5 type of person that should not come to Ukraine is the person that follows the rules to the T. I mean, Ukraine is still a country that where you don't really follow the rules simply because the rules don't make sense sometimes or they're not really enforced by anybody. And even if you do, you're quickly going to realize that everybody else around you here treats them as suggestions, more or less, and you'll be the only lone wolf in a pack if you try to follow the rules. And then again, bribery is still prevalent as well in many spheres of society and things like healthcare, education, politics, especially politics, I would say. Not so much in traffic police, I think in large cities like Odessa, Kiev, Lviv, and stuff like that. However, the further away from these big cities you go into villages and towns, the more bribery you're going to encounter, even with the traffic police, and the more corruption is going to be prevalent. Ukraine is mostly a place for somebody who has their wits about them and people who stay informed and they sort of are educated and then they keep to protect themselves. But let me reiterate that it's gotten a lot better than it did before, and Ukraine, I think, is on its way to becoming less and less corrupt. Well, here you have it, and I hope you've really enjoyed this video, and don't forget to hit like and subscribe, and stay tuned for more content. Take care, guys.